And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the only podcast on the internet that knows that there's nothing that goes with a taste of victory quite like a fresh Persian taco.
Oh, God. And we know that because we are doctors.
But not doctors.
I'm Dr. Silverstein.
I'm Dr. Armshaw.
And this week we're going to be talking about all things U.S., Iranian, and UK related, starting with the launch of SNL UK. Yeah, that happened. Campaign finance reform in the United Kingdom, something we used to talk about in the United States in the 90s. Here we are today, turning to the war in Iran. We'll be talking about how Iran is painting America as the great evil and how it's working. And also the 15-point/5-point/peace plan that has been announced by Donald Trump.
As well as some very interesting market gyrations that I think we can see.
Which we will talk about in the America section.
Ooh, okay.
Alongside the current disaster that has apparently been averted regarding travel, TSA, airports, and the Republican Party. All that and more on Doctors Not Doctors starting right now. Patrick.
Yes.
We decided before the show started that we probably should be a little bit more fun.
That's true. That's true. I remember a small conversation about how we should try to leaven things a little bit, right? You know, so it's not all doom and gloom.
We liven them up because it's so brutal out there. And this week, we took note of an American import coming to the United Kingdom called Saturday Night Live UK, SNL UK.
Yeah.
And I remember when they first announced this a couple of months ago, and I think that you and I probably had the same reaction, which was, oh,
yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing, right? The United States, a country of my birth, love it to pieces. Don't get me wrong, but it just every once in a while it tries to take a British cultural property and try to do an American version of it, right? And it usually goes incredibly poorly, right?
Example, The Inbetweeners.
Oh my God, that was painful. That was so painful. Inbetweeners, BBC, brilliant show. Inbetweeners, America. I'm not even certain that counts as a show as much as a war crime.
Yeah, it wasn't on the BBC. It was on, I think, Channel 4.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel quite bad.
It was on Channel 4, not the BBC.
Yeah,
but it's important to note that that was like a cultural touchstone show, like The Office. So The Office is something that was translated in a word.
The Office is like one of the very few examples of like a British show transplanted to America, and it ended up becoming its own thing and working for that reason. I would also argue Ghosts. Yeah, getting into it recently.
I've not seen Ghosts.
The British version, absolutely fantastic, classic. Amazing. American version, not as good, but still pretty good. Still, it's good. It's reasonable.
I'd also note that for The Office, that they copied almost episode for episode in the first season. Yeah. Basically, you could take the two scripts and you could just go for shot, right?
Yep. Did not work.
But it didn't work for American audiences because the cringe level, and there's no laugh track, and it was just it was more about awkwardness and sad.
Yeah.
And then they made this huge change to Steve Carell's character,
where they could allow him to be likable as well as horrible. He could be he could have just a little bit of sad boy riz, and I think that's really what did it, right? And that I think is good translation. So this is a very long way of getting to the point that the idea of taking an American thing and bringing it over to Britain, how do you translate American humor to British humor? I feel like it's hard. It's just very, they say we're two countries separated by a common language. I think we're actually separated by just how much mugging you're allowing your actors to do for the camera. So
I mean, they had Benny Hill here.
I know, but they had Benny Hill 50 years ago is the thing.
That's true. So that is a very old reference.
Britain got it out of its system, and then it started,
So last weekend, Tina Fey hosted the very first Saturday Night Live UK, and I personally think that it was pretty good.
I breathed a sigh of relief, I will admit.
Yeah, across the board, everybody thought this was going to be a train wreck. It was going to be a disaster. It was going to be sad. It was going to be a horrible husk of what Saturday Night Live is supposed to be. And they were wrong.
To be fair, Chris, I mean, like, if you're thinking about what Saturday Night Live UK should have been, even if it had been like, oh, we're just going to do Saturday Night Live, but in the UK, that already would have been a terrible idea because Saturday Night Live is generally awful. Like they have their glory days. They don't always do a very good job, is what I'm saying, in the American context. So
I personally think that Saturday Night Live is, for the American side, it is designed for a very specific generation of people from your mid-teens to your late 20s. Once you leave your late 20s, all of the references stop making sense. And we were lucky enough because we had a really good era in my 30s.
That's true, actually.
But
yeah,
after that, first of all, COVID, I think, obviously put a slam, stopped everything.
It was a problem. Yeah.
But the return of Saturday Night Live with the brand new cast they have this year, this is the American side. That's very, there's a lot of stuff I don't get. But also, I think it's because people's habits have changed. People are not going out as much.
That's true.
Saturday night might be a time to stay indoors and watch Saturday Night Live, which is why I think they brought it here. And there are some pretty funny sketches. I mean, they stuck to the general American Saturday Night Live
ethos, right? Like,
and the plan. There were these fake commercials. There
Obviously,
were,
gotta
sketches.
Have a fake commercial.
There was political sketches. And I showed it to my staffer.
Yeah.
Who, she laughed out loud.
Really?
She laughed out loud at the Keir Starmer sketch. And the Keir Starmer sketch was Keir Starmer trying to figure out how to talk to Donald Trump to say that he will and won't help him with the war.
Right, yeah.
And it was pretty funny.
Okay.
But she actually laughed, and it wasn't like ha 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 laughing. It was like she laughed out loud. And then one of our members came in, and he's like, "Did you see the one about the skin cream?" And that was see, that's funny
okay,
too.
Fair. That actually, like, that was good.
The skin cream, which makes you look so young that you think your boyfriend's a nonce. And a nonce, if you're American, is a pedophile.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was. I mean, it does things.
I think it was called underage.
Underage.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's a thing in America that you can't do. You can't swear. You can't be that provocative. If you swear, it's a very big deal. And you could be fired from SNL for swearing.
Oh, 100%. In fact, people were fired from SNL for swearing in like the early 1980s.
Yeah.
After like the first like really good cast with like, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, like after they were off the air.
Yeah.
And they tried again. They just, belted out an F word right in the middle of the broadcast. And it was just like, yeah, that's it. We're firing everybody and trying again.
Yeah.
And so,
and that's because they wanted to get rid of Saturday Night Live for many, many years. Now, there are some other really funny sketches. There are funny individual parts of sketches.
Are we going to talk about Jack Shepherd now? Because I feel like we have to talk about Jack Shepherd right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whose face has been plastered all over train stations now because it's on Sky. This is on Sky.
Okay. Right.
And so Sky's really, really pushing it, right?
I mean, it's such a breakout moment. For those of you who didn't see it, this was part of a sketch involving David Attenborough cloning famous Britons for a dinner where they would talk about what it is that makes Britain great.
Yeah.
And it was, it was very Saturday Night Live. It's
perfectly cromulent sketch.
Right. Perfectly cromulent sketch. Went on too long, a little bit unfocused. But the highlight of it was Jack Shepherd's impersonation of Princess Diana. And just, good Lord, respect for that man's facial work,
Yeah.
just like just mannerisms right there, 100% brilliant.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and he basically kept on looking at the camera in a demure way. And other people would, they did their part, but it was very much like it was the SNL impersonations sketch.
Exactly.
Which there's always an impersonation sketch. So overall, I mean, a lot of the commentary came by and said, okay.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so now they don't have Tina Fey on board. She was only here basically to launch it. Now she's away. And so now they're on their own. And we'll see what happens. But
I wish them the best.
Best of luck, because there was another swap over. How Have I Got News for You? It was translated into a CNN.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really good.
What?
Yeah, it's really
seriously
good. Yeah.
Oh,
they have things on YouTube, and I think
okay.
Final thing.
Who's
Roy Wood Jr.
Huh. Okay, all right.
And I was surprised at how good he is at keeping things moving, keeping things funny. And there's other people on board as well, whose names I cannot remember, but they will come to me at some point. But we have talked about this for a bit
Yep.
too long, as we're a political podcast, and we're sitting here talking about.
Yep. And it's that's enough joy. It's time to get back to the doom and gloom, kids. So yeah,
that's right. So let's talk about the UK, and a phrase that I didn't think I'd have to say ever again after the 90s: campaign finance reform. So this week it was announced in the House of Commons that the Labour government is going to put forward changes from something called the Roycroft Review.
Okay.
The Roycroft Review was an investigation into how money is flowing through the UK political system and where it's coming from, and if there should be anything done about it. The government finished that review, and they discovered, oh no, there's lots of ways for people to put money into the system that is, who knows how it got there. And I think that, they'll claim that it's not about this, but over the past few years, Elon Musk has been very vocal about putting as much money as he can into the British system, which is difficult because he's not a citizen.
That's true.
But he does have X.
But he also is an incredibly wealthy man with literally no scruples whatsoever, because he sold them for a profit.
But it is harder to do that here. So if a foreign entity wants to put money into the UK, they just can't send a check to a political party.
Yeah, because that would be against the law,
massively
right?
illegal.
Yeah.
But a company can give money to a political party, and that company, but even that company needs to have a majority British board of directors.
Okay.
All of those people have to pay taxes in the UK. There's a lot of different things in the way. So it's not Elon Musk can't do what he did in America, right? Elon Musk is also not a citizen. I don't think he's a citizen of America.
No.
He dropped $500 million into the campaign.
Well, no. Elon Musk, it must be said, is a citizen of the United States of America.
Oh, okay.
Although there are some accusations that appear to be somewhat credible that he may have violated immigration law and worked without authorization before he made his application for American citizenship. And technically, according to the law, that means that his citizenship could be revoked for fraud. Which is a fun story.
That's a fun story, but we know that nothing's going to come of that as long as Donald Trump is the president.
Yeah, that's 100% the case.
Yeah.
So like with Elon Musk, I mean, for those of you who weren't paying attention during the 2024 election, and God knows a lot of people weren't, Elon Musk basically attempted to kind of buy the election. He was offering like $100,000.
It's like $1 million.
Yeah.
If you signed up, if you're registered to vote.
Yeah, or like it was like going to be a lottery if you register to vote, and you could possibly win $1 million. Except that is fantastically illegal. But of course, nothing came of it because again, Donald Trump. So there you go. But yeah, so like Elon Musk has been very, very loud about wanting to influence British politics, specifically in order to encourage support for the far right. I think a Reform Party, and then I think he started backing
Tommy Tin names.
Exactly, right? And so
Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
Exactly, aka Tommy Robinson, this jackass. So it's pretty clear that one of the richest men in the world really wants to influence British democracy. So I'm really happy to see that the Labour government is, taking that seriously, maybe looking into how to make sure that he doesn't get to break the law with impunity like he does in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job of looking, like basically trying to get this off the ground. And they did, fair play, this is a very big and serious problem.
Yeah.
There's also other people who wanted, crypto donations into political parties. And so the government has then decided that what they're going to do is to implement some of these changes as quickly as possible, which parliamentary style, it's really difficult because we're coming to the end of the session, right? We now know that the King's speech will be on the 13th of May, which is a Wednesday.
Gonna mark my calendar.
Which means that the session will be over at some point around the end of April or beginning of May. So I don't know how they're going to implement these changes immediately, but there's a bill going through. It's called, I think, the Representation of the People Act. Again, Representation of the People Bill, to basically make some of these changes. And what they're going to do is ban crypto donations. They're going to cap donations to political parties at £100,000 per person.
I am just going to say that I feel like that is a very high cap. Like, if you've got £100,000 to blow on political donations, I feel like you're not donating because you're like, oh yes, this is my party and I support them because, that's, my family has been, Tory for generations. I think you're doing it because you think that you can gain influence with a government and get way more money back than that. In terms of, special treatment, basically. So I don't trust people who would use their money to make that level of a political donation. Like, I find that to be suspicious on its face.
Well, let's also remember that this is only applying to overseas electors and cryptocurrency. It's a ban on all cryptocurrency donations, but it's £100,000 from overseas electors.
Right. And for the record, I am very much in favor of having a cap. I think the cap should probably be lower than that, but I much prefer to have a cap than no cap at all. And hooray for banning the crypto, because good God, I'm sorry, but cryptocurrency at this point, the experiment's gone on long enough. We know what it's good for. It's good for financing terrorism. It's good for money laundering, and it's good for paying for, drugs and child pornography. Like, seriously, this is not a good technology we have invented, and I see no reason why we should allow cryptocurrency to be used to make political donations, for God's sake.
Yeah, at present, I don't believe there is any cap on political donations. But one of the issues about overseas electors, which will affect us differently as Americans, are, we're dual citizens now. But in the United Kingdom, up to a few years ago, you couldn't vote in an election if you hadn't been in the country for over for 15 years or more. So if you leave the country. And you live somewhere else for 15 years, you lose your right to vote.
Right. Okay.
Whereas Americans don't have that. Americans get to vote from wherever they are, because also Americans have to pay taxes from wherever they are.
You have to file the taxes.
You have to file. You've got to file taxes. Yeah, you got to file, and then potentially.
And if you make more than $100,000 a year,
more than $100,000,
then you have to pay taxes on that amount that's over that. And so
we're not financial experts, so don't take any of that.
That's true. This is not financial advice, but I will say, if I had that problem, that's a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
So
we can get into the middle class glut in a second, at a different time. But the point being is that in the United Kingdom, people who were living overseas didn't have the right to vote. That was changed by the Conservative Party, and a lot of that probably was down to a guy named Lord Ashcroft, who famously lives in the Caribbean, but also has a shitload of money. And he runs this thing called Ashcroft Polls, which is a very very deep polling organization. They poll everything, and they can throw a lot of money at getting really in-depth polls.
Okay.
And I've seen some Ashcroft polls with 10,000 people in them.
Wow.
So it's a really big polling group.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's a conservative lord. It's Lord Ashcroft, right?
Okay.
So people are like, Lord Ashcroft is putting all this money in the Conservative Party, living over in like one of those islands in the Caribbean. So the Conservative Party made it easier for Lord Ashcroft to vote and continue to put money in. Now the Labour Party has made it harder for Lord Ashcroft to put tons and tons of money in. He's been capped at £100,000. See, my perspective is this. Everybody knows that. I work for the S&P Westminster Group. So I'm not saying anything for them. I'm saying in general, in my almost 17 years of working in politics here.
Okay.
£100,000 is a lot of money, right? But think about a political party like a company.
All right.
That's a lot of you need a lot of money to run that company. So if you were to cap it at 50 or whatever thousand, your very large donors are the ones who, just like a charity, the very large donors are the ones who keep it going.
So, you got to have your whales.
Every because just like. Unlike a charity, political party has this one unique problem.
Okay.
What does it produce? And we talked about this earlier, and your answer was
power.
But I disagree. A political party doesn't produce power because you got to win first.
That's true. And
if you don't win, the political party just has the option of producing power, and even I would say more influence and authority. Right.
Okay.
So because they don't produce a thing that they can sell. It is very much a giant money hole.
Okay.
Because for think about reform for the first 3, 4, 5 years, or any Nigel Farage party up until 2024, people are putting crazy money in there, or not as much. It's crazier money now, but they were still, he's still a rich man. He's still got plenty of rich people trying to throw money at him because you need to print leaflets.
Yeah.
You need to have, you need to pay for staff.
That's
you need to
true.
pay for location. You need to pay for a lot of stuff. And political parties are governed far differently than any corporation. I think their scrutiny is much higher, as we've learned in the S&P.
Indeed.
But you need. I'm not saying you need 100,000 pounds, but I can understand why it's limited to that, because I'm pretty sure the Labour Party must have some overseas donors as well. So
I would not be surprised.
So they're not going to screw themselves over.
Right.
I don't know. I'm probably the S&P. I don't think they have any overseas donors. I don't, take my word for that, but I think all of the donors that I have ever heard of were or are local.
Okay.
And most political donate. And again, in the UK, if you live in the UK, there's no cap. Right.
Right.
So that's what's going to come into effect in the next. Well, it depends. In the next wee while, as they say.
Well, we'll see what happens there. I think it'll be interesting. Out of curiosity, how are the other political parties taking this?
Well, one political party has been pretty vocal about these changes. You would be surprised to hear that is a political party called Reform that is also a limited company.
That is not a political party at all, actually.
It's a company that its majority shareholder is pretty upset about this. Because they've been getting quite a lot of money from crypto bros. And I think
there's nothing sketchy about that at all, now is there?
And one of the tenets of the statement that was made, I think on Wednesday. We're recording this on the 27th of March, which is a Friday, by the way. But on Wednesday, they announced this, and they said, this is retrospective.
Oh, now that's a power play. Like, how retrospective are we talking?
I don't fully remember.
I mean, my understanding is that the bill would allow people 30 days to divest themselves of illegal donations, right? So if someone makes a donation above the cap, or they make a donation in cryptocurrency, what have you, they make a donation that violates the law, you have 30 days, I understand, from the bill to be able to refund that and therefore not be subject to any penalties.
Yeah, that's correct.
So presumably they could really only backdate that for like the 30 days, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be as far as you could go, I would think.
But basically, I was going through the statement that we had printed out, but we're just checking to see where that was. But yeah, it's about 30 days, but it's also retrospective. So it gives you a bit of some leeway, but it definitely cuts off the taps.
Yeah.
For Reform more than anyone else. And I mean, you could argue that, this is really mean. You're being really mean to Reform. But at the same time, the thing about political donations, more than any other kind of giving money to any other organization, is it goes back to that power, influence, authority thing, right?
Yep.
So if you don't know who's giving you that money, you have no, like in America, we were very aware of the influence of Russia propaganda in American politics. And it happens. We believe it's happened here as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's been more than enough stories and quite a bit of evidence that the Russian state was using its resources to try to influence British elections and to, the Brexit referendum. There was some evidence of Russian fuckery going on there. So it's not entirely surprising that, let's just say that Reform tends to be more on the pro-Putin side of things. Them and many of the other sort of far-right political parties in Europe, they tend to see Russia as a natural ally. Yeah. Does that mean that they have been taking donations from the Russian state or Russian-backed individuals or what have you? I cannot say. I certainly wouldn't make that accusation without very strong evidence, because I would like not to get sued. Thank you very much. But I would say that, probably the kind of thing that would be harder to do under the new rules. So, I'll leave that hanging.
I think we end with this ban on crypto donations it's intended to only be temporary while they figure out how to basically wait until the system is regulated better,
right?
Which will take some time.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Is that the whole point of cryptocurrency is that it is pseudonymous. For the record, it is not anonymous. It is not a situation where you don't know who is giving the money. You know which accounts are giving the money. Everything is recorded on the blockchain. The problem is you don't know who necessarily controls the accounts, right?
Yeah.
So it's not impossible to trace money that moves through the cryptosphere. It is, however, really, 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 really hard to do it. And a lot of that tracing basically comes down to drawing conclusions based on evidence that isn't 100% airtight necessarily. So if you're thinking about it from the standpoint of preventing, say, bad actors from providing money to a political party which may end up in government, yeah, why would you ever allow cryptocurrency as a means of donating to a political party? It's just a guaranteed way to allow, foreign actors and criminals to be able to buy influence in a potential government.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So those are 2 points for the UK. We're going to take a little break and come back and talk about the ever increasing quagmire in Iran.
I can't wait.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
It felt good to stretch the old legs there.
We definitely just hit pause and replay.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Well, I don't want to call it a war because Trump actively called it a military operation.
Yes, he also called it a war. He also said it's definitely not a war. He says a lot of things, Chris.
Yeah, and all of it makes sense. This is we've won the war. The war is over. America is now in charge.
Exactly.
Also, the new regime is in charge, even though we're not fans of the new regime. It's difficult to keep track of the weave. Let's just call it the weave. The weave of why we're in this war.
I think, honestly, the best statement to explain what the hell is going on here, the lay of the land, so to speak, comes from Secretary of Defense, not War, Pete Hegseth.
Secretary of War.
There is no such thing. There is no Department of War.
That's sedition. That's sedition, Patrick.
But anyway, yeah. So what did Hegseth have to say? Well, what he had to say was this: we have destroyed 100% of Iran's military capacity, but the 0% of it that they have is preventing ships from going through the Strait of Hormuz. So
two things can be true at the same time. You can, and this is serious.
Yeah, all right.
Like the actual military capacity of Iran. I think everybody, and I'm not a military expert. I'm telling you what I've heard from other people who know what they're talking about. The military capacity of Iran is really degraded.
Oh, 100%.
Apparently, there is no navy.
Yeah, no. The Navy is quite sunk, with the exception of the small boats, of course. Which is a problem.
And there it is.
Yeah.
We're not fighting a war against, a regular country. We're fighting a war against theocratic dictatorship that has been preparing for the war with the great evil, the great demon, for,
as long as I have been alive, Chris.
Yeah, as long as you've been alive.
47 years. Their number one concern has been, all right, well, when America invades, what do we do about it?
And for many years, America has been smart enough not to invade. For many years, we tried, and that was in the 1970s, and then that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so now
it wasn't an invasion, Chris. That was Operation. I can't even remember what the name of the operation was, but this was Carter sending in special forces. I think it was to free the hostages, and it was a crazy plan. I don't know how much you guys know about this particular thing, but it was destined for failure. It was absolutely insane. It went about as badly as it was ever going to go, and a bunch of American soldiers died, and their corpses got displayed on Iranian state television. So that obviously Carter lost his election pretty badly in the immediate aftermath of this. Right?
Look up Operation Eagle Claw.
Eagle Claw, that's the one.
It's not great, and
it's a better name than Epic Fury. I'll give it that.
What's an interesting EC though? It's another EC name. But also, we can probably talk about the Iranian hostage crisis for days, but we're not going to do that now.
That's right. We're not the rest is history, people.
We're not the rest is history. I wish we were. Oh. But let's talk about the surprise of, I think, from Monday, which was that Trump announced that there was going to be a peace plan, and that a peace plan was coming to the Iranians.
Yeah.
So, but the problem was that we've gotten to the point where people don't really believe what America's saying anymore. So when he says, "Oh, we're negotiating with the Iranians," people are like, "Who are you negotiating with?" He's like, "I can't tell you because if I tell you, that person might be killed."
Do you have a mouse in your pocket? Like, seriously. It's just crazy to me, the idea that like there would be someone who works for the Iranian state, who has the ability to negotiate on behalf of the Iranian state, but also if the Iranian state learns who that person is, the Iranian state will kill them. I don't think that's how diplomacy works.
Or at least if you have a person who's going to be able to make a decision for an entire country, they have to then bring it to people to implement that decision or to maintain that decision. And if that person would be killed, if they became aware of who they were,
then they can't. That's not how anything works. That's not how any of this works.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna buy a house from you, but I can't tell you where it is, and I can't tell you who owns the house, and I can't tell you the address. But give me the money anyway.
Exactly.
Because I'm a completely trustworthy guy.
Chris, the important thing is my girlfriend lives in Canada.
She's really hot. She doesn't go to school here.
You don't know her. You don't know her, bro.
Or any of her friends.
So she doesn't really like the internet, so she tries to stay off of it and all that kind of thing. And so you're not going to find anything. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Don't even try. What I'm saying is just stop. Don't try. So I think we should talk about the various plans here.
Okay.
There's a 15-point plan from America, and then there's a 5-point plan from Iran, because Iran's been throwing it back at the U.S. pretty hard, both propaganda-wise, but also plan-wise. Let's talk about the plan first.
All right. So walk me through this 15-point plan that the United States is apparently going to get Iran to sign on to any day now.
Well, the 15-point plan, and I've lost the page where it's on.
It's okay, Chris. It's not real.
But I'm serious. Like I just had the plan up. I literally just had the plan up. It had something to do with. Oh, I have it here. Sorry.
Yay! Okay, good.
The 15-point plan.
I love fiction.
So apparently, and of course, nobody can actually show any real evidence of this plan existing.
Right.
It apparently has, and elements of nuclear program restrictions. Iran would have to dismantle its nuclear capabilities in uranium enrichment, hand over enriched materials, which, by the way, should have already been destroyed in the obliteration of last year, and allow full international inspections. Missile limitations. Basically, you can only have enough ballistic missiles to defend yourself.
Oh, I see. Oh, like the Iranian regime is currently doing right now in the war against the United States. Yeah. Okay.
Regional influence. It would need to stop arming terrorist groups.
Okay. Sure, they're going to sign on to that right away.
Yeah. Because, sure. Then there's a ceasefire negotiation window. A proposed 1-month ceasefire would allow both sides to negotiate the terms of the agreement. And then, of course, Iran would ensure safe passage for non-hostile vessels through the Straits of Hormuz. Finally, as an incentive for compliance, according to CNBC, and some other people, the U.S. offers full sanctions relief, as in the sanctions are removed. Support for civilian nuclear program under supervision, so they get their nuclear program, and removal of snapback mechanisms. Patrick, what is a snapback mechanism?
So basically, the idea with snapback mechanisms is that if you're making a deal with a country that you fundamentally do not trust, but you want to give them the option to be able to sort of prove their trustworthiness, right? You remove the sanction in exchange for an agreement to comply with your terms. And if the other side breaches those terms, then a snapback mechanism means that the sanctions immediately get reapplied. You don't have to go through a song and dance. You don't have to go through like a whole, rigmarole. You can just immediately have the sanctions snap back. And that way the other side knows, okay, if we fuck around, we'll find out immediately. We don't want to fuck around because it's just not worth it to us. So, okay, we will comply and build trust and et cetera, et cetera. And it's not a bad idea in the abstract, I would say.
And I think we need to be very clear about what sanctions mean. Sanctions mean you cannot access your money and nobody can pay you any money.
Yeah. So there's like billions and billions and billions of dollars that the state of Iran owns, but that is in the Western banking system and that the state of Iran cannot access, right? Now, what's interesting is that the JCPOA, This was the
Obama deal.
Exactly. This is the deal that Obama worked out with the state of Iran back in, I think, 2015,
2015 is correct.
Which was a
2 for 2.
Yeah. Hey, what can I say? I'm just super good at this. But yeah, so like that deal involved snapback mechanisms. It involved Iran agreeing to limitations on its ability to basically do almost everything that you're talking about with this 15-point plan.
Yeah.
Like limitations on its nuclear capacity and whatnot, an agreement to never produce nuclear weapons, the ability to go for nuclear power because they have the right to do that as signatories to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is the legal reason why they can't legally get nuclear weapons, for the record. But yeah, so like all of this stuff we had it in our hand, Marcus. And and then Donald Trump got elected. It was like, no, Obama did it. We can't have that. So we got rid of it in 2016. And it was like, we're going to have a better deal. We're going to have such a better deal. Just like we're going to get rid of Obamacare and totally have a better healthcare thing.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, you guys. In 2 weeks, you guys. Right after we do infrastructure. It's going to be great.
There is.
Yeah. So Donald Trump got rid of the JCPOA and then proceeded to replace it with fuck all. And now Donald Trump has gotten us into a massive quagmire that's going to destroy the global economy. And if we're lucky, maybe he can get us kind of sort of what we had in 2015.
Get us back to us back to 2015.
Because he's a master negotiator, Chris.
Art of the deal.
Exactly.
Art of the deal.
Exactly.
Now, so that was the American plan, which we think exists. And Iran put out their own plan.
Yeah.
They put out their own plan. I think checking the date here.
Point
on
1,
the 26th.
fuck you. Point 2, fuck your mother. Like seriously, like it's my understanding, right? And I'm gonna spitball here. I'm gonna vamp for time is what I'm gonna do.
I've already found it.
Oh, you've already found it?
Yeah, I've got it.
I was so ready to vamp.
I know you were, but I know how long you can vamp for.
Yeah, that's fair enough, actually.
But
all right. Walk us through it. What are they asking for?
The Iranians want a stop to all aggressions and assassinations, putting solid mechanisms in place to make sure it will never be attacked again, paying money for reparations after damage in the war,
right,
ending the conflict on all fronts for all resistance groups involved, international recognitions and guarantees regarding the authority over the Strait of Hormuz. And this is the key point, because both of these plans apparently have the Strait of Hormuz as part of the deal.
Oh yeah, because it is the central issue in this war. So for those of you who are not aware, because you weren't paying attention in geography class
last week when we talked about it.
Exactly, right. So the Strait of Hormuz, basically, this is the thinnest part of the Persian Gulf. This is basically between the very tip of Oman and the shores of Iran. It is, I think it's a 15-mile
33
wide.
Kilometer, 15 miles.
Exactly. So it's about 15 miles across. But the part of it that is deep enough for deep sea traffic to go through, right, is only about 2 miles.
2 or 3 miles, and it's one way either way. Yeah. So it's very, very tight.
So it's one of these situations, basically, that you might call a bit of a bottleneck. So if anything goes wrong there, it would shut down traffic altogether, which is basically what Iran has been doing. Now, what that has meant for the global economy is pretty obvious. 20% of the world's oil ships through there. 20% of the world's natural gas ships through there. Like a big chunk of the world's helium transits through there. So much of what is necessary to run our modern global economy depends upon free movement through the Strait of Hormuz.
It's not even that. It's also fertilizer that goes through there as well. So if you want to grow food, you need to get stuff from out of there.
Yeah, do you like food, kids? Because this is going to be a problem. Like, seriously, this is, and it is March. People need to start getting that fertilizer down. And if there's real disruption to the fertilizer trade, that's going to mean a really poor harvest. And that's going to mean, hundreds of thousands of people are going to starve to death this year.
More expensive food for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore,
we're staring down the barrel of an absolute catastrophe here. It's going to be really bad. And I don't think people have really priced in yet exactly what's coming down the pike for us.
They might, but it also explains a couple of the most recent moves from the Trump administration, because at the beginning of the week, there's a 15-point plan, and then all of a sudden Trump declares that a 5-day armistice has been declared.
I do want to point out one thing about that, right? So his little armistice, it wasn't just like, oh, we'll stop, bombing military sites. What he was threatening to do before he came up with a 5-day pause, he was threatening to start attacking Iran's, electricity generation, right?
He was going to target their biggest, I think, nuclear power. Their biggest power plant.
Yeah. And so, and the thing is, that would be, by almost any definition you could think of, a war crime, right? Because he's not threatening to knock out power that is used for military purposes. This would be purely going after civilian power. This would be the kind of thing that would shut down hospitals. This would shut down the ability to, have air conditioning. This would shut down the ability to like maintain refrigerators. In other words, it's the kind of thing that would have just a massive, massive, massive and deadly effect on Iranian civilians.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump was actively threatening basically to just start doing war crimes unless Iran gave him what he wanted. And then he realized, oh no, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna give me what I wanted. So it was like, okay, it's fine, because we're gonna put it off for 5 days because the negotiations with the mouse in my pocket are going so great, you guys.
Well, then there's also the constant reminder that there is thousands of American troops heading towards Iran.
Oh yeah,
And these aren't Boy Scouts.
No,
these are serious people who are trained to do short-term, big hit.
Marines, airborne,
and, the Army.
Yeah,
are on their way there. So you have two conflicting narratives. You have the narrative of peace plan, and you have the narrative of I'm just buying time before we invade Karg Island.
Okay.
And the question is, which one's going to win? Because what's driving this, clearly, the one thing that's driving this is the markets.
Yeah.
It's not the risk to American lives. It's not the risk to Americans or Iranian or American civilians or the whole world.
Yeah.
It's how much money are we going to lose all over this? Because America remains in the massive cost of living crisis, which has been completely exacerbated by this war of choice by Trump.
No, he's massively spiked oil prices. Like he's increasing the cost of everything. This is just a massive strategic own goal for the United States. This is how empires fall. Like it's amazing to me to see everything that Donald Trump campaigned on. He is now gleefully, publicly betraying his own voters on, right? Like the number of tweets that their side put out saying, if you want to keep out of World War III, if you don't want to invade Iran, you got to vote Donald Trump.
President.
Yeah, exactly, right? He's going to be the president for peace, right? And look at that. He gets in, and now we're maybe going to invade Iran, and we're going to seize Karg Island, and oil is spiking through the roof, and prices are going up, and interest rates are not coming down, and it's just good Lord.
Let me tell you how bad this is.
All right, go on.
So, all right. So America has kidnapped the leader of Venezuela, dickhead. Not a fan of him. America has killed the leader and many of the leaders of Iran.
Yeah, and their families.
Yeah, again,
for fun.
The leaders trashed. The families probably didn't deserve it. Maybe I don't know. So this is painted the United States as a bit of an enemy.
Yeah, a little bit of a loose cannon.
So what Iranian propaganda has been coming out, along with Chinese propaganda in other countries, but the most recent one I saw was Iran, and it's on all over social media. You can't. It's not hard not to find. It just has pictures of people and children looking up towards the sky from Gaza, from Vietnam, from every American incursion over the past 50 years, including the school that
Minab,
the Minab school that America most likely bombed.
I mean, it's a Tomahawk missile. Who has Tomahawk missiles? We don't sell them to people who are not like Australia, basically.
Right. So and it's just pictures like, look at all these people that America's killing and has killed over the past, and then it's like, who's the hero? And the hero is an Iranian missile flying towards the Statue of Liberty, which happened in this case to be some kind of bull. And this is all done through AI as well.
Of course. Well, I mean, I don't think you had to specify that at that point.
Thank you. I don't think they would have said Statue of Liberty. Maybe it was just some kind of bull. It goes down, and then it's like, we are going to save the world from these aggressive, dangerous,
Right.
Goliaths.
Hooray. Hooray.
And the problem is that, when you say, no, America isn't about that. America isn't about that. Like, sorry, but where's the proof now? I mean the leadership of the United States is doing lots of crazy shit.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna bring in some political science on this, right? So when I was in grad school, ages ago, when knighthood was in flower and dinosaurs roamed the earth, there was this sort of theory about revisionist powers, right? So the idea being that in any particular global order, there are those states who benefit from that global order, usually because they're the ones who set it up, they're the most powerful actors in the system, when the system was created. But of course, time comes for us all. Things move on. States get stronger and weaker. And those states who started off not being the primary winners of any particular, global order may become stronger over time. And those that do then become what are known as revisionist powers. They want to change the global order. They want to, seize their place in the sun. And of course, the, canonical example of this would be the German state. The Second German Reich, right? So this is Germany after unification in the 1870s up to World War I, basically, because the European order that existed during the 1800s was fashioned after the fall of Napoleon. Britain is the big dog. It is the guarantor of stability in the European theater. And the idea is that, well, okay, we'll just make sure that no one gets too powerful, no one gets too strong. This is going to be fine. When Germany unifies, they become this much, much, much more powerful actor. They are industrialized. They're able to start building a navy. They're able to start getting colonies. And you have Wilhelm II, the Kaiser, start being like, okay, well, it's time to, to seize our place in the sun. It's time for us to be recognized as the great power that we clearly are. And so this idea of revisionist powers is sort of an attempt to try to formalize this idea of, oh, okay, well, how is it that sometimes the revisionist power is, able to claim its new place, and sometimes it goes to war and screws everything up, basically, because the other revisionist power that managed to not blow everything up while still becoming recognized as powerful is the United States in that same time period, right? Yeah. So this whole idea then it was a big thing of trying to think, okay, how do you manage international diplomacy? How do you maintain an order while making it flexible enough to like deal with the rise of new powers, the fall of old ones? Like, when does war happen? When does war not happen? And all of that, it turns out, is hot nonsense, because now we got the United States, who literally created the global order, being the revisionist power. Like, we're blowing up our own house.
Yeah,
because we didn't like the fucking bathroom sink. So
this is the way that I think about political science, and we'll move on after this.
Oh, go on.
Is that when science is the hard sciences, and I say that physics is much easier because you know the rules.
Oh yeah.
You know, like chemistry, physics, what's supposed to happen. You mix two things together, this is what happened every single time. If something different happens, it's a huge breakthrough. Where in politics, come on. There are no rules. There's just what's happened today. And you have to try to make sense of both just, billions of different points on a map, those being people, those being like societies, and how to govern them, and how to make sure that people go day to day without, being murdered because you're wearing the wrong colors,
right?
And that happens, but it's not happening on an industrial scale. But it like this reminds me of like the Dark Ages, like almost the beginning to the Dark Ages, because one of the things, and it's a good kind of shift into the next one, is that the American government is starting to use the language of religious extremism in reference to this war. We are definitely probably a few days from Hegseth calling this a crusade.
I'm sure he's already done that several times in his private life.
I'm sure in his private life and on his chest he calls it a crusade. But I'm like, but apparently, a happy Easter message went out to the troops. BFD, right? Congratulations. But at the same time, there's also a message saying that the godless wonders in Iran are in control and that they need to be removed. Right? So that's why I'm calling it a crusade, because you're like, look at these heathens in charge of this country. Surely the Lord wants us to do this, my son.
Boy.
So
when has that ever gone poorly?
So with that, we're going to take a little break before we go to our final section on the U.S. of A. We'll be right back. And we're back.
So it's time for us to turn our attention fully to the United States of America and the fun things that happen in America's capital markets.
So if you were one of the lucky people who decided to put some money into the oil futures market, 14 minutes before Donald Trump made an announcement, you are incredibly rich right now. So earlier this week, Trump had announced that he was going to basically hold off on attacking Iran's power infrastructure.
No war crimes for at least 5 days, you guys.
This was like 48 hours. Yeah, he said for 48 hours or for 5 days, we're gonna let this thing go through. We're not gonna attack them. We're not gonna attack the infrastructure. Now, what was interesting was that message went out at 7:04 Eastern time, and about 15 minutes beforehand, at about 6:49 Eastern time in America, thousands of bets started being placed on the oil's future market. The simplest way to explain this market is that is a futures market, which basically you buy a contract for something that's in the future, as in I'm going to buy, I don't know, frozen concentrated orange juice, and I'm going to buy a certain amount of frozen concentrated orange juice, and I'm going to sell it at a later date at this price.
Yeah, exactly.
That price can be higher or lower than the price that is currently on sale today.
So it's fundamentally a bet on what you think is going to happen to the price. You buy it now, and you hope that the price will go up later on, so that when you sell it, you make some dough.
Or you hope the price goes down, because when you buy it back, you make money that way.
That's a good point. If you're doing, if you're shorting the market.
If you're shorting the market or you're going long, these are two different, again, not a financial podcast, but this is the very simplest way to talk about the futures market. That somebody decided because at a certain time you've got to effectively buy the thing that you said you're going to buy.
Yes.
And so somebody put down somebody or a group of people put down approximately $500 million in bets.
Wow.
On the oil market 14 minutes before Trump tweeted on Truth Social that something was going to happen.
Now that's interesting. That would be the kind of thing, like, that's a huge bet to make. You probably wouldn't want to make that kind of bet unless you felt really confident that something was going to happen to the price. Now these bets, Chris, were these the kind of bets where you're betting that the price is going to fall? Out of curiosity,
these were the kind of bets where they thought they were going to fall. So
that's incredibly dangerous. That's a very dangerous kind of bet to make. Because if it doesn't fall, then you're on the hook to buy a shit ton of stock at a price that's higher than you can afford.
Yeah, a shit ton of oil, actually.
Yeah. Oh, indeed. Yeah.
So this has really triggered the global markets, because it's not the first time that Trump has done a thing.
Yep.
And then a few minutes before he did the thing, somebody or a group of people had made a shitload of money on that thing. So in January, when America kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, somebody made a bet that would happen. Now that's interesting, because I don't think anybody had this thing in their head like, oh, America's just going to kidnap the president of another country.
Obviously.
But somebody did. They made over $400,000 from a $32,000 bet. What an amazing stroke of luck.
But that really is just absolutely, I mean, here's the thing, Chris. Crazy things happen all the time. I always try to live by the words of Ian Fleming, the guy who created James Bond.
Yes.
He was a member of MI5, and he very famously said, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action. So,
well, we earned 2 times here.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens next. But this is, Paul Krugman has been involved in, has commented on this. He's like, there is no way that this isn't some kind of corruption.
It really has to be. It just has to be, because 15 minutes before the president comes out and says his bullshit about how, we're going to have a peace deal in just a few days, this is all fine. That if you know that that's going to happen, that oil prices are going to drop, because the market still, for some reason, thinks that Donald Trump tells the truth sometimes. I don't know what's wrong with the oil market, that it hasn't figured out that, no, he just lies.
It's all markets. And I think it just comes down to a very simple thing, that they're short-term thinkers. We have to get that money now. I don't want to be the last one, in the room. I might lose money on this bet. But obviously, we're not talking about regular people. This is people who could throw down $500 million.
That's true.
And not blink and be like, I'm going to be okay even if I'm wrong. So this is a very serious thing. And obviously in America, an investigation has been launched to ensure. Nope. Now that that's happened, I stole that from the news agents. So if the news agents are listening,
that's pretty good. Yep.
Yeah. But that was very funny.
That's all right. Chris will be disciplined appropriately.
But it's incredibly fucking corrupt. And because Trump's in charge, and everybody knows this, no one's going to do anything about this nonsense for in the immediate future.
Yeah, until he's out of power, like there's just no chance of any of the crimes being committed by him, by his administration, by the people who are connected to him. Those crimes will not be investigated and they will not be punished. Donald Trump has made it very clear that the Department of Justice is his bitch. Like they work for him.
Well, Pam Bondi has made it very clear that she will do whatever he says. And I think it's also important to realize when these people are playing people's lives, and the Strait of Hormuz is a complicated place in any given time. But given what's happened here, the Strait of Hormuz was free.
Oh yeah,
to use.
Yeah,
and now why would it remain free?
This is I think the biggest thing that Donald Trump has done with this stupid war. Up until this point, the nightmare scenario for everybody who thought even for 5 seconds about what war with Iran would mean was, what if they close the Strait of Hormuz? If they do that, oh my God, it's just going to explain
all the stuff that goes through there.
Exactly, right? So, everyone who knows anything about this knows that's the danger. Now, why hadn't Iran done that until now? Well, because, it's a dangerous thing. You do that, you're going to make enemies all over the world, right?
You've shown your hand.
Exactly. And plus, what if you do it and it doesn't work? What if it turns out you actually can't? Then you've given away like a big card that you had to play. As long as they didn't close the Strait of Hormuz, and as long as America never went to war with Iran, it was one of those things where both sides were like, oh, okay, this could go one of two ways. We don't want to find out which way it goes necessarily. And we have that strategic ambiguity of, okay, well, that's just a door we don't want to open. So we're going to leave it like that, right? Both sides have a certain power there. But what Donald Trump has done is forced that ambiguity to resolve itself into a reality. Like Schrodinger's cat, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
As long as you don't look in the box, the cat's alive and dead at the same time.
Schrodinger's Strait.
First, exactly, there you go. And then you open up the box and it turns out, oh, shit, nope, the cat is dead. That's it. And all the probability fields have collapsed into a single reality. And it turns out, no, actually, Iran wins this one. They can close the Strait of Hormuz. The United States cannot stop them. Now we know this, and Iran knows this. And now everyone in the world knows that even when this war ends, and even if Iran does say, okay, and everyone uses the Strait of Hormuz, we're back to normal, you guys. Everyone knows at any point in time, Iran could be like, actually, now we're closing it. You need to give us money.
The mines are back. Or they could just permanently mine it and just turn them on and off as they feel.
Yup.
We don't know that now, but we've now given them no reason not to try.
Exactly.
So,
oil prices are never going to go. They're never going back to what they were. Donald Trump has permanently made oil more expensive than it was.
And so that's why it's to watch people play with this oil number it's not shocking because you know that these rich bastards will, they don't care about democracy. They care about being rich. And so it's just one more example of that. Let's move on.
All right.
To if you've been trying to travel over the past few weeks in the United States of America.
You may have noticed a few things. Yeah.
It's been terrible. Now, I have not been trying to travel in the United States, but you left just before this happened, right?
I did actually. So yeah, I was in the United States for a little less than a week. I flew back. It was a terrible flight going back. My flight was canceled by over 24 hours. To be fair, that wasn't because of the lack of funding for TSA agents. They've been working for like over a month without getting paid. That's fun. That's a fun thing. My problem was that there was lightning at Orlando International Airport. So there you go.
So to be clear, over the past few weeks, the Transport Security Agency, TSA, who's run through the Department for Homeland Security, basically didn't have any money.
Yeah,
because the government shutdown from last year was only temporarily averted, and we've now run out of time again. and so DHS needed to get refunded because we didn't have enough because of the politics of it and and ICE killing all these American citizens.
Yeah, the Democrats in the Senate refused to vote for the DHS funding bill until severe reforms were made to ICE and to CPB, the Border Patrol and all that.
Yeah,
CBP,
Customs
and Border Patrol. CBP. Thank you very much. Until major reforms were made to them, the Republicans, of course, do not want those reforms to happen because apparently they are fine with American citizens getting shot dead in the streets. It would seem, but yeah. So the funny thing is, right, is that the Border Patrol and ICE, their funding is secure thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, right? Like they've got all the money that they need for years from that stupid bill. But the rest of DHS, they ran out of money. So basically, the TSA has been working for over a month without getting paid. And a lot of them have been calling in sick because, why would you work for free?
Well,
it's not great.
Well, gas
right?
is really expensive in America.
I mean,
so you're going to drive into work and not get paid.
You're going to spend a lot of money to do hard and annoying work and get no money in exchange for it. And during this time, there has been basically a battle in the Senate. The Democratic Party has consistently put forward bills to fund the TSA, but just the TSA.
No, the Democrats have put forward bills, but basically put forward funding for TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA.
Oh yes, of course, right.
Federal Emergency Management Agency,
not for ICE and Border Patrol.
But not for ICE and Border Patrol.
Exactly. That's what I meant to say, and thank you for correcting me.
What you would need to do is to ensure that in order to get that money, they would have to basically come up with a much different plan on how to fund those portions of DHS.
Exactly.
Now, in the interim, because plans are being put forward, and the Democrats are like, we'll fund all these other programs, but obviously there's a problem with ICE. And apparently the Republicans were for it.
Oh, yes.
And then somebody called Trump, and Trump's like, don't do the deal. Now, Republicans are trying to blame the Democrats on it, but then it was the Louisiana senator who went on Fox News and said,
Kennedy?
Yeah. And he's just like, I went to Trump, and then Trump said, don't do it, so we couldn't do it. We didn't agree to these changes. And in the interim, while we're waiting for TSA to get funded, I mean, the lines in America for people trying to get into airports,
really long.
Cancel your flights, cancel your vacations, and we're in the middle of spring break.
Yep.
So you have all these people trying to figure out how they're going to get to a place, and they put in ICE into the airports to do TSA's job. Funny fact, ICE doesn't know how to do TSA's job, and people were taking pictures and videos of ICE just standing there, but no masks, standing there with like bottles of water.
Yeah, and well, look, man, someone's got to hold up the Cinnabon by standing next to it, so it's just amazing. It's just one of these like politically cack-handed things that Trump does every once in a while, right?
Every once in a while. It seems to be every week.
Yeah, his ability to operate as a sharp operator, that's been going downhill along with his mental cognitive abilities, it would seem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, can you imagine taking a situation where there's a huge problem and there's a chance that people are going to blame the Democrats for it. But what you're going to do, you see, is you're going to make a very public declaration that you're going to solve the problem by taking ICE, who everyone hates, and putting them in the airports where they're going to do nothing useful, but everyone's going to see them do nothing useful unless they're like, beating up some, Hispanic woman, basically.
Yeah, they're still taking people down.
Yeah, of course they are.
For deportations.
So everyone can see it happen all throughout the country. And everyone knows the lines are still too long because ICE isn't actually helping the situation. It's an amazing way of very publicly making sure that everyone knows that you are the problem. Like, it's just 10 out of 10.
No notes. So just I think today or yesterday.
I think it was just today. Actually,
it was this morning.
So,
it was this morning America time. So about this afternoon UK time. For some reason, very quickly, a deal was passed in the Senate with unanimous consent, as in there was no need for a vote. Everybody just immediately agreed. Yes, we need to do this right now. And in my opinion, that does show how scared the administration is, because not only do they have the war in Iran, which is going to it's just going to explode the amount of how much food and fuel costs. But now, when you want to escape the realities which Trump has created, you can't even get a flight
Yep.
Because American flights they were rough to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you finally get there and you have to wait in 5, 6, I don't know exactly how long these lines are, but they're out the door onto the street of the airport.
Yeah.
I've never, ever, ever, ever seen that.
Yup.
I mean, last time I was in America, I was surprised at how, one of the last times, basically they had run out of ways to get you into the actual terminal.
Oh my God.
But you were still in the terminal.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was just like clearly, I think there was some renovations going on at O'Hare. But the point is that you've taken the war and you screwed over people's health, gas prices. You've taken the flights, and you've screwed people out of that. How are you supposed to win the midterms as people remember that you're the guy who made sure I couldn't go on spring break? Because obviously some of you are not getting your flight. You're the guy who made sure I can't pay my heating bill or my gas bill.
I can't afford to fill up my car anymore. Like there's the potential for like gas shortages like already because of this thing.
Oh yeah, here in America too.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's absolutely incredible to me. The political, I wouldn't even say short-sighted. It's not short-sighted. Short-sighted implies that you're getting some benefit immediately in exchange for a long-term payment that is just way too big, right? Like short-sighted is, I'm going to do some cocaine right now because it feels really good, even though I'm about to, go.
I'm about to fly a plane.
Right, I'm about to fly a plane or something like that, right? That's short-sighted. That's stupid and short-sighted. What Donald Trump is doing is really bad for him now in exchange for really bad for him later on. Like, there's no upside to him for this unless maybe it's distracting people from the Epstein files.
Yeah, I suppose
I'm running out of alternative explanations for what the hell he's doing, Chris.
There's a number of things I think going on. I think primary is a distraction from the Epstein files, but there's also the fascist part of his government who want people to get used to seeing troops in places. I mean, we were very close to the National Guard being deployed into airports, which is just not a thing we do in America. So I think there is a lot of different avenues that people in his penumbra or his umbra, whatever, that are trying to take. And I think there's all these different avenues that we're going down. Right now, it's the put troops in airports and maybe troops on Carg Island. But I don't think that it's doing any Republicans any favors. For example, and I think we'll end on this, there was a special state election in the state of
Florida.
That's right.
There wasn't there?
There was an election in
that
Florida.
district that it was happening in, if I remember correctly, Chris, there's a very famous club there.
Well, it was in a place you may have heard of it called West Palm Beach, and in West Palm Beach there is a place called Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and I think the president lives there when he's not pretending to run the country.
The president lives there and also launches attacks from there from behind cloth.
That's fun.
So there was I think it was I would call by-election.
Exactly.
It's a special election.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is a place where every third person's a MAGA and every other person loves MAGA.
100%.
Right?
The person who was vacating the seat had, I think, won with like a 10-point majority. I think they were Republican. So it is not a blue district. Let's put it that way, right?
No. However, a Democrat named Emily Gregory won the seat with 51.15% of the vote.
So that's it, and it's like a 13-point swing, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
it's a huge deal. Now, I think that people on this side of the pond are trying to say like this is like it's like Keir Starmer losing St. Pancras and Holborn as his constituency. I don't think it's exactly the same, but because the location of Trump does not really matter for American politics, but it does matter for the kind of people that live there.
Yeah.
And this goes into what you were saying before. The damage that's being done by MAGA to Republicans, and I do count these as two different groups of people.
I think that's quite fair. Yeah.
It's an existential challenge.
Yes. Like to give you a sense, this is my favorite statistic that I've heard recently. Over the course of the last year, the Democratic Party has picked up 30 seats through special elections.
That's through state and federal,
right?
Yeah.
30 different seats, right? Would you like to know how many the Republicans have picked up from the Democrats?
Please let me know.
0. Not even 1. Like,
Yeesh.
yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, special elections are weird, because who's going to turn out for a special election? It's somewhat questionable how much you can say, oh, well, they're winning the special election, so therefore they're going to do really well in November. It's not a 1-for-1 is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if it's 30 seats have changed hands to 0 seats have changed hands, I mean, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 30 times is enemy action, people.
Indeed, it is. And with that, I think we're going to take an end to this podcast so that we can head to the pub.
Exactly.
And as always, first, happy Easter, which is coming up in a week. This is the beginning of Holy Week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So happy Holy Week.
Exactly.
And get out there and I guess watch the Passion Play.
I mean, look, if you're into that kind of thing, go enjoy, commune with the divine, have a lovely Holy Thursday, have a oh God, I'm going to say it, a good Friday, and then have a wonderful Easter. Rise well, people. So
as always, I'm Dr. Silverstein.
I'm Dr. Armshaw.
And we are doctors,
not doctors.
Good night.